You're listening to KJ and Dondero on Boston Sports Original, WEEI.
Last night, to me, it looked like Jason Tatum just quit. Because if the Celtics would have got anything, any type of tenacity, any type of dog out of him, they would have probably won that game.
Oh, boy, here comes the narrative. KJ and Dondero, WEEI, happy Father's Day, and thank you for starting your Sunday with the fastest 2-hour radio show in America. Mark, live from the U.S. Open final round. Man, what a way to give yourself a Father's Day gift there, huh?
Yes, it's a great. I mean, I don't even know what to do. I'm out here looking at the course, looking at the drooling. I'm wiping drool all morning.
When it's over, you got to go home, right?
Yeah, it's the fact that they're here, and not just that they're here, but the way that the tournament has unfolded.
Yes,
it's everything like I was alluding to earlier that I was hoping for with some of these names that are on the leaderboard, and the way that the golf is being played and the conditions, and we'll see what the wind does today. I mean, what more could you ask for on a Father's Day? Like,
I know, right? What a nice gift to yourself. I didn't know if my kids were going to tell me Happy Father's Day when I got up this morning, but they did. So happy Father's Day to you.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so look, what Kendrick Perkins just said there in that cut, I think kind of is part of the boiling pot that's around Jason Tatum that I kind of hinted to last week. Now, I know, Mark, you don't want to hear this. It all revolved around a call about a guy saying that, look, Tatum isn't really that happy here. It's really just a job. And in fairness, they wouldn't be the first player that doesn't really have themselves super fabrically attached to the fan base. You know, that's not unusual. But I think as the narrative goes and how much Jason Tatum listens could potentially be detrimental a year from now. I'm just wondering, all the talk about what Jason Tatum was not in the finals, do you think that feeds his desire to get out of here?
100% no. I think if he leaves, it will be for other alternative reasons, not because of what some people on talk radio say about his performance in the finals. And guess what? His performance in the finals was horrible. What do you want me to say? You want me to come up here and just act and be
throw
all
some
night?
More carrots into the stew? Well, here's the thing. We've got a different NBA player now, right? It used to be you play for the pride of the team and for the fan base. Now it's very much play for my brand and how I can do it on the gram. And I'm not saying that this is him, but I'm just saying this is the environment. What James Harden did this year, you could have not even fathomed 20 years ago. Be on a contract and play for, in essence, 3 teams in one season and demand your way out of each, out of 2 of those 3 places. So, sometimes they say the danger is when the precedent is set. And it's not so much that, hey, Jason Tatum wants to do this now, but the precedent has been set that, look, it doesn't how much you're making. If you want out, the team's going to have to make a way for you out of here. And I just wonder if, Jason Tatum getting punked or he disappeared or it's now Jaylen Brown's team or look what he ain't. He's not this superstar. All these different narratives that are being played out. And in fairness, everybody has their right to say what they want to say. But also there is a potential repercussion. Do you think that he hears all this and says, you know what? I may want out of here. I think so. I just think so.
No, it's not going to happen. And let the record show I just got my first pipe down gesture from the media center here.
So they don't know, right? I mean, granted, you're at a place you love, but you love to talk with volume. I cannot expect you.
Well, I'm not going to sacrifice the energy on the radio show just because I'm here.
Just because of some grass, right?
Did they tell you, or did they hold the little quiet sign?
The quiet sign.
No. I wish they did. I would have had a lot more respect if the quiet sign came up and somebody walked out over to me. But that's okay. Listen,
they put the fingers to the lips.
I don't. Yeah, it was more of like a arm thing, like bring it down, whatever. Listen, I disagree with you. Like, I don't think, and first of all, if that's the reason if that is something that ever factored into his thinking, I would just, the respect I would have for that is so low, so pathetic. I mean, that's not the type of guy I want leading the Celtics. If a little bit of noise is going to bother it, like, no. This guy did not play well. He should be the first to tell you. 13 points in a must-have game at home. Okay, where you could have tied up the series. Not good enough. Not even close. And it wasn't just the stats. Did you look at him? Did you watch him? I mean, it was hopelessly pathetic. It was not that I'm not going to say he quit. I don't know if he quit. I just
maybe
think
he was game planned for, and the game plan worked.
Down. He was totally just exposed. Like, that's what happened, and it's just not acceptable. If you're as good as we think you are, first team All NBA, it's just unacceptable. You can't let it happen. And based on what I teased, this is what I think. Okay, in terms of the Celtics and why they lost 3 straight, I think, and we heard Marcus Smart talk about it. I think it was after Game 5. They knew that Jason Tatum was struggling. They knew he wasn't in a good place. And when that happens, your best player gets to that spot. The rest of the guys, the role guys, they are not able to operate with as much confidence knowing the guy who's supposed to be the leader, the alpha, isn't being that. Then they feel like they have to do more. They start to press. They don't feel like they can play with flow and rhythm.
But, Mark, if every man is supposed to pick up every man, you cannot have guys coming off of the bench and doing nothing. For God's sakes, I think the last 2 games, they both played 40 outside of the Game 7, Game 6. But, Tatum was playing 44 minutes a game. Brown was playing 44 minutes out of 48 minutes. So that's crazy. While you look over to your shoulder, you see Steph Curry getting a nice 5-minute rest and probably 15 to 20 minutes over total time in real time. And you're in there busting out because nobody else could get anything done. If you're young, that has to be a bit frustrating. Here's Rich Eisen on all the Tatum talk that's going on.
Jason Tatum is 24 years old. As you pointed out, Christopher, first team All-NBA. Wow. So all I'll say is rip on Tatum at your own peril. He's getting killed all over the place today, and he doesn't deserve it. This team was incredible this year. It came out of nowhere, and none of it happens without Jason Tatum.
I'm with them. Careful what you ask for or what you say, because you may not like the results. Now, I get what you're saying, Mark. They're if he decides that he wants to get out of here because of what people have said, well, who ultimately loses? The people who got you. Do you want to see Jason Tatum go? No. But if he goes, you will know the reason why. You'll know the reason why.
So let me just.
And then, here's the other part of that. And then, who wants to come in his stead? Because, again, I thought last year, after the Danny Ainge debacle, the whole situation with Marcus Smart and how the team didn't necessarily jump on Kyrie, it was like, hey, look, they did all that work to change some of the culture. But if there's a culture that you can't handle, then sometimes you just get out of the kitchen. And that's the fan base.
So let me just be on the record here and just tell you how much I despise this narrative in this conversation. Like, I don't even think we should be having it. I don't respect it. I don't want to do it. But
because you're a fan, and I get that, and I don't want to see him leave either. But you've got to say, how does a 24-year-old absorb what goes on around him where we're not 24 anymore, right? But at the same time, you may think like, hey, I could go to, say, the Lakers and I can perform very well. Let's say LeBron retires after next year, and he might say, I want to go to L.A. I want to go there.
Look, we're not – everybody acknowledges what type of greatness or potential greatness Jason Tatum has within him. We saw it during the Milwaukee series. Like, he was what you want a guy of that level to be. But it's also stunning when a first-team All-NBA guy plays the way he did in spots this year, especially in the finals. 13 points. When the Celtics went 7-32, what was it, in Game 4? 7 minutes and 32 seconds without scoring. Yeah. Or 6 points in 7 minutes and 32 seconds. That's a stunning development when you have a guy as good as Jason Tatum. So when I see a stunning development unfold like that, it's like, wow, I got to talk about that because I feel so strongly about what I saw because it's so stunning. Do you understand?
No,
I don't know what you want
me
to do. Just sit here and say, hey, like Rich Eisen, that's fine. Like, that's a nice little counterpoint. And he's right. He's not wrong. But we also have to react to how bad he was because he was bad. It's the reality.
So let me go to this portion of it then. How connected, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you think Jason Tatum is really to the fan base and to the city? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 not at all and 10 totally embracing and loving and pretty much will staying in the North End like he's Paul Revere. 1 to 10, how connected do you think he is to the fan base? I hate the
question. I don't think
you hate the question because you know the answer is a low number.
What does that even mean? Connected to the fan base?
Connected to, like, okay, for example, Isaiah Thomas was a 10. A 10.
Okay.
Al Horford probably up there 8, 9, right? But do you feel that Tatum, and I put Brown in the same conversation, do you think they really feel super connected to Boston and New England to say, you know what, I'm going to go through
here.
But I'm saying they play here. This is what pays them. Like, Death Row is the label that pays me.
I think they got a lot of support from the fans over the course of this playoff run. Like, what do you want me to say?
No, I just want you to give me a number from 1 to 10.
7.
6, 7?
Yeah.
Is the 7 hopeful or is the 6 more real? Because I would say probably around 6.
Hopeful. But I don't, I don't think that's a relevant conversation. Like,
no, but it plays into the narrative. Like, Paul Pierce is a 10. Paul Pierce is a 10. Right?
He wasn't a 10 the whole time. In 2006, he wasn't a 10. They talked about trading him, and he didn't know what he was doing.
Well, they talked about trading him, but that's one thing, right? It's another thing where you're thinking about, do I want to go through this? Do I want to still be here? See, those are two different things. Management's not saying anything about Tatum. It's a matter of, is there some type of thinking going on with Tatum right now says, you know what, if I go through this another year, or let's say the Celtics don't get back to the NBA Finals, or they get eliminated in the first or second round next year, and who's the narrative's back? Who is it going to be on?
Okay, so hold on. You want to have this conversation, which I don't want to have? Fine, we'll have the conversation. So you're saying
we gotta have tough conversations.
You're
sometimes.
telling me no, that's fine. But you're telling me that you think Jason Tatum, if this is what I'm hearing, he's upset based on the narrative that the fans and the media and everybody surrounding the Boston scene is the conversation they're having after the finals. So what the counter to that would be, all right, fine. He doesn't like it, and he eventually leaves, which would mean before 2026 he has to force a trade because I think he's under contract through 26.
But remember, James Harden set a precedent that stuff doesn't matter when you're a superstar.
Okay, so fine. So he doesn't like the narrative surrounding him in Boston. He wants to leave. He forces a trade. He forces a trade out of a team or from a team that's really good, that's been to the finals, and he's been close to getting it done but hasn't quite gotten over the hump. So he forces a trade to go where? To the Lakers, to L.A., whatever. What's that narrative going to then be nationally about Jason Tatum? That he quit? That he took the easy way out? That he just wanted to go play with his friends or join a super team? If he couldn't handle Boston, who was supporting him, what's he going to do when the whole nation is talking about him and giving him the Kevin Durant, that's the weakest move by a superstar I've ever seen treatment? Is he going to like that? Is he going to handle that?
But you just did LeBron James, right? Isn't that the story of LeBron James, that the Heat was in the kitchen and he couldn't win it and get over the hump? He was a young guy and he went to Miami.
But did he leave Cleveland because the media was mean to him?
Well, I don't know, because they loved him because he was a prodigal son, so he had an attachment
he left
there.
Because he didn't think they could win.
But again, LeBron is 20 years ago. Look at the society we're in now with social media and the 24/7 narrative that's beyond just radio and podcasts and
first of all,
television.
LeBron, when he made the decision, social media was around, so that wasn't 20 years ago.
It wasn't the way it is now.
Well, again, if he does do something like that,
nobody
the noise
was talking
is
about
only
that
going
on
to get louder. It's going to get louder.
It wasn't like MySpace was going crazy over that. Like, no. It was just really the TV pundits and the radio pundits. And now you have this whole scenario, including social media, where things are being said daily. Like Rich Eisen just said, look, be careful how you go at this at your own peril, because I believe, KJ believes, that these young players are much more affected by what is said by the masses than previous players, I would say, even going back to probably 10 years ago. I just think they're a little more affected. And if they're not physically attached to the city, like, you know, what's the point of really sticking around?
I just don't think, like, Jason Tatum is going to – he doesn't feel like a guy that would sort of reignite that trend. Like, I think the NBA is sort of going away from what we saw a decade ago with LeBron and Kevin Durant. I think it's Giannis sticking around in Milwaukee. I think it's Dame Lillard staying in Portland.
I don't think he even stays in Portland.
Well, maybe he doesn't, but maybe it's because. But maybe it's if Dame Lillard doesn't stay in Portland, that's, I think, more so along the lines of Kevin Garnett leaving Minnesota. Like, he did everything humanly possible to win there. It just didn't work out, so he reluctantly decided to move on, like KG did in Minnesota. He did everything he could. It wasn't, I'm a baby, I can't listen to what everybody's saying, I want to leave. It was, we did everything we could. My career's going to get to a point where I don't have as many cracks at it anymore. I need to take my talents somewhere else to see if I get it. And then the other guy, like Ja Morant, I expect him to re-sign in Memphis. Like, if those things happen, it's going to kind of, I think it would turn off a guy like Tatum to then, I'm going to the Lakers, I'm going to the Clippers. You know, I think he's going to just stick around, especially with the team he has around him. And especially if they get rid of Marcus Smart, if that happened. I shouldn't say especially, but if that happened, I think that'd
let me use the two examples you just used. Does it seem like Damian Lillard has a strong tie to Portland and the greater Portland area?
Yes.
Yes. Does it seem like Ja Morant has an incredible relationship with the city of Memphis?
Yes.
Does it seem like Jason Tatum has an incredible relationship with the city of Boston and New England?
Like, I can't say no. Like, I don't know if it's incredible. I don't feel like it's in a bad place. Why? Because he tweets about St. Louis. He's from St. Louis.
No, there's no team in St. Louis. So, I mean, it's not like, hey, I want to go to St. Louis.
Yeah, I think you're more down on his relationship with the fans here or whatever than I am.
But I think you have to take that into account when you have a 24-year-old, some debating superstar, some just saying star, who's now first-team All-NBA, who the NBA recognizes as a marketable figure. He's a father out in public, right? He's got a great story. All this stuff matters, right? And if you're people around Tatum, I'm not saying I would say this, but this may potentially be a conversation. You can bank that capital in better places than in Boston. And with people, what they're saying about you and the visceral you're getting about you playing, like Isaac mentioned, he played 900+ minutes through the playoffs. You're dead tired, and this is what you're getting at the very end. People were kind of, you were one of that was railing on him, like when the guy has 12 points and 13 assists, they win the game, and people were like, he didn't score enough points. That stuff, in a young man's perspective, who's achieved a lot. Think about it. He's achieved a lot by 24. Maybe just say, you know what? Why am I sticking around for this? Why? Why would I stick around for it? Why?
Because the team's really good and you've built something here and you want to see it through. That's why.
And maybe his test to see how really good the team was all those dish outs you saw, right? Like, hey, I'm dishing out to these people who are supposed to help me win a championship, and they're not getting it done.
If he aborts the mission with the Celtics and just up and leaves, I'm out in the middle of a prime, like where he's in his prime and Brown's in his prime and the core's in place, he will get more criticism nationally from the media and from just the masses than he's ever experienced in his life. So if you
maybe from New England more so than nationally.
What are you talking about? Stephen A. Smith and those, they crushed Kevin Durant when he did what he did. Because I'm assuming Jason Tatum, if he goes somewhere, he's not going to a team with nobody on it. He's going to go to a team that has talent, and he's going to be viewed as soft and taking the easy way out and like all those things. It's going to happen, and he'd have to be prepared to deal with that. So I don't know why you'd think he'd be ready to deal with that and not ready to deal with a little bit of criticism from a fan base that supported him all year.
KJ and Dondero, WEEI, good Sunday morning to you. Happy Father's Day. Mark is live from the U.S. Open. We'll get into some U.S. Open talk next. 617-779-7937. The text line's 37937. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us.